Hello and welcome into this week's ARCA Series Rewind show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from R&N. On today's ARCA Rewind, we're looking back at Thursday's General Tire 150. Supposed to be 100 laps. We went a couple times into overtime. 109 laps total around the 1.5 mile Charlotte Motor Speedway, Concord, North Carolina. This was a crazy race. We did have one withdrawal before the race. We were supposed to have 25 cars in the race. CJ McLaughlin in the 09 for Our Motorsports had to withdraw after a qualifying crash. It was a crazy qualifying session. We had, stopped 3 times for different wrecks, I think it was. So it was quite the crazy qualifying session, and we hadn't even gotten to the race yet. And then the race itself was pretty crazy as well. 7 caution flags total in this race. First one came very early, lap 6. The 15 of Christian Eckes cut a tire and got into the wall in turn 4. That was your first caution of the race. Second one came fairly soon after, lap 16, as the 35 of Devin Dodson for Vision Motorsports wrecked in turn 4. Then we went a little bit, lap 51, the 06 of Con Nicolopoulos got loose underneath another car, spun onto pit road into pit wall. Glad everyone was okay from that one because that was a bit of a scary accident. And then off the restart for that one, we didn't even make it a full lap. We get to the backstretch off the restart, and Scott Melton wrecks into the inside wall on the backstretch. At this point, things were starting to get a bit weird. Michael Self had led from the pole every lap up until this point. Then when we get to the caution at lap 51, we start seeing smoke coming out of the back of the 25 car. And of course, everybody's freaking out, going, is he going to be able to finish the race? Does he have a motor issue? What is the problem here? Because he was still leading, hadn't brought it down, hadn't really noted it all that much. So the question was it going to hinder him from winning the race that he had been walking away with? If we hadn't had all the cautions we had at the end of the race, if we had gone green from that Devin Dodson wreck at lap 16, Michael Self probably would have lapped the entire field. He was that much faster than everyone else. So the question was he going to be able to finish this one off, or was this going to be a motor issue that was going to hinder him from winning the race? Lap 87, we got our answer. Michael Self admittedly screwed up turn 1, hits a bump, gets loose, spins it around, tags the wall with the right rear, brings out the caution. Now, this is where things turn in this race. Michael Self led the first 91 laps in this race. Lap 91 would be the restart from this caution. Michael Self did not pit on this caution while basically everyone else on the lead lap did. This was the difference. Everyone else had fresh tires. Michael Self did not, and we were 9 laps from the finish of the race. He got blown by on this restart. Brett Holmes to the lead on lap 92, led for 4 circuits before being passed by Ty Majeski in the 22 car, who had a really fast car at the end of the race. Once you took the 25 out of the equation, I think the 22 might have been the fastest car at the end of the race. But we weren't done with cautions yet. Lap 98, this sent us into overtime as the 18 of Riley Herbst, trying to block a run from the 21 of Sheldon Creed on the backstretch, ends up turning himself across Creed's nose into the outside wall as they hit into turn 3. This brought out the caution, sent us into overtime. One more caution on the night, lap 104, the 7 of Cody Robaugh, off that restart, gets into the outside wall on the exit of turn 2, ends up coming to a rest in the middle of the backstretch against the wall. The ARCA officials waited until we got around to the white flag to throw the caution, because under ARCA rules, if you make it to the white flag, that's still not the end of the race, but we have a 1-lap shootout for overtime after that instead of 2 laps. And I think the the general consensus at that point was, as crazy as this night had been and as long as this night had been, I think everybody just wanted to get it over with, and we didn't want to have 10 attempts at overtime. So I think that was the general thinking there, was just get it to the white flag, throw the caution, and then we've only got one lap to finish it. That would be the final caution of the race, though. Lap leader breakdown. Michael Self, far and above, led the most laps in this race. 91 of the 109 laps from Charlotte. He had such a fast car, but unfortunately was not able to close it out. As we noted, Brett Holmes got by him for 4 laps there at lap 92. Ty Majeski ended up leading 14 laps, and Ty Majeski would be your winner from Charlotte, leading the final 14 laps, picking up the win in overtime, his first career ARCA Series victory. A huge win both for him and for Chad Bryant Racing to be able to pick up that win. When we talked to him after the race, he was smiling from ear to ear. This was such a big moment for him after such a disappointing 2018 season with everything that happened with him at Roush Fenway Racing in the Xfinity Series. For him to be able to come back and have success like this, even if it is in a lower series than what he was in before, it's a huge step in the right direction for him and for his career. Sheldon Creed, even after a pit road penalty late in the race, was able to battle back for a second-place finish. Gus Dean making a return to the ARCA Series for the first time since Daytona. He landed in the 3rd position. Harrison Burton, also first time back since Daytona. He ended up in 4th. Michael Self, after finally getting tires on the last pit stop, was able to fight his way back for a top 5 finish in 5th. Definitely not the finish that he wanted, nor I think really that he deserved in this race. Far and away, that 25 was the fastest car in this race. And of note, they are planning on bringing that same car to Pocono, so that is something to keep an eye on this weekend. As fast as he was in Charlotte, look for Michael Self to be just as fast in Pocono once they get that thing fixed up at the Venturini shop. It would be the same car at Pocono, so keep an eye out for the same type of speed out of that 25 at Pocono. Rest of your top 10 were Tanner Gray. Christian Eckes battled back from that early incident. He was a couple laps down after that, finally got enough free passes and everything to get back on the lead lap and fought his way back to 7th. Brett Holmes, 8th. Travis Braden came home in 9th, and Thad Moffitt with the top 10 in 10th. 11th through 20th, Joe Graff Jr., 3 laps off the pace in the 12th position. Tommy Vi Jr. came home 5 laps down in the 15th position. Cody Robaugh, after his overtime accident, landed in 16th. Willie Mullins, after a qualifying accident for him, was able to battle back. They got the car fixed in time to get him into the race. He came home in the 17th position. Riley Herbst, after his accident to set up the first overtime, 19th. And then Brandon McReynolds, very off all night in that 28 KBR development car. Showed 81 laps in this race, 20th with axle issues. Final page, 21st through 24th, Devin Dotson, after his incident, was running at the end of the race, but many laps down in the 21st position. Then we talked about Con Nicolopoulos' wreck there in the mid-portions of the race onto pit road. 22nd would be where Con Nicolopoulos would land in this one. All right, so we were able to catch up with Ty Majeski Thursday night after the race. That will be linked down below in the description. If you have not seen it yet, go check it out. Great interview with him. He, like I said, he was one of the happiest winners I think I've ever seen. To go through what he did in 2018, to be back on a high note like this, he was in very high spirits on Thursday night. So great to see that. And he did tell us he will be back this week at Pocono. That is part of his Chad Bryant Racing schedule for the season, so we will see him once again on Friday at Pocono. So let's take a look now at the point standings following Charlotte. A little bit of changes here. Michael Self has extended that lead just a bit. It looked like he might actually lose some ground, but then battling back at the end with those fresh tires in overtime. battling back for a top 5. He actually did extend the points lead just a tad this week. 55 is the gap over Travis Braden and Brett Holmes, who are both tied for second. Now, Christian Eckes losing a bit of ground this week, 115 points back now from his teammate Michael Self. And Joe Graf Jr. losing some ground there in the 5th position. He now sits 145 points back from Michael Self in the 5th position. So that's your point standing situation after Charlotte. Heading into Pocono this week, of course, we will be at Pocono this week on Friday with ARCA. Again, we won't be able to stay for Saturday and Sunday for the Xfinity and Cup stuff, but we will be there Friday to give you coverage of the ARCA race. So looking forward to that, as we should be for every race for the rest of the season. I know we missed Talladega, but the plan is to be at every ARCA race for the rest of the season. So look forward to that, and we'll be sure to try and give you some great coverage from each race going forward the rest of the season as we continue to watch this great championship battle between Michael Self, Travis Braden, Brett Holmes, Christian Eckes, and Joe Graf Jr. But if you haven't done it already, you need to go down below, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. While you're down there, why don't you hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video? It is much appreciated when you do. Xfinity Rewind coming up here shortly, and then of course a Cup Rewind coming up. It'll either be late tonight or tomorrow morning. I'm not 100% sure on that yet. I'll be at the day job till midnight tonight, so not sure if that'll be extremely late tonight or if that'll be tomorrow morning. We'll just see. We'll see how I feel when I get home from the day job. So at that, this has been the ARCA Menard Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.